Hi there, welcome to the Nerd Presgrave case. Today we're doing a focused video on the volunteer firefighters, the Terrell Volunteer Firefighter Department, dispatch call that was made, announcement of them being present down to route and the time given. I'll be showing some little audio clip of that, which I've not documented on my channel before. Maybe not everyone's seen it, so I'll just briefly play it today. And we'll take a look at a post by Michael Facecaz, credit to him, who's pieced some bits and bobs together, including a response from Donna Bond to Robin Smith, which kind of interesting, but you can understand that level of communication, kind of like we did time in the past where Robin Smith wanted to blast Avery Combs' location when she was at a baby shower and was in communication with Donna Bond at the time through that process. So in terms of the dates of everything, may or may not be given, but it's just about looking at it from a different viewpoint. You know, previously we've done the themes of the police, questioning them, their professionalism or lack of it. Did they do enough? Did they search properly? Did they miss out on things? Did they mishandle stuff? Was there any tampering? Was there a cross connection with tampering and conflict with a piece of highway footage which Caden Pressey reported seeing by the hands of Kathy Bingham? And then Alicia talked about it after when Kathy Bingham was on site at the Pressey household. But then upon that CCTV footage, what Kathy Bingham has said and has more so said in recent time with that update, as the video demonstrates in recent time, which I've documented a few days ago, that Kathy doesn't have any true video footage. So who does? And how did they find out? But then we've always got Donna Bond in the background that has described some kind of footage herself, which is a bit different to everybody else's in terms of the description. And I remember the vague description myself, and I'll briefly relay it to you now before we go any further. That it showed Nerd Presgrave where he was out on the highway, but completely naked and not even wearing a pair of mismatched shoes. Very interesting that. Why would that be the case? What happened to the shoes? Would it make more sense that that piece of footage happened much later on when the shoes may have been taken off Noah's body, taken in as evidence, and some person along the way decided to get a little snapshot, get a little recording of it? For what exact reason? Well, you hear like in news reports and in life where sometimes you get some police or some officials, ambulance crew, whatever, they might take a photo, record of a scene, a victim in an inappropriate way for laughs, fantasies, or anything else in between. All kinds of dark random stuff can happen. So today we're going to be taking a look at the volunteer firefighters, the firefighters in general. You know, could anything else have been done? The style, method of communication, was it done properly? Or is there a few red flags? And if there are red flags, who else could be involved? How would they connect with the case if it's even possible? And is there any conflict of interest as well? You may have heard some names hanging about. We may even acknowledge them today. I might look at the comment section as well. We'll just see where we are for time and go from there. And we can always follow it up in the future if there needs to be another update. But yeah, we're still focusing on the theme of the highway, Noah, his body, and potential video footage of the scene as well. What I do want to say, first of all, is welcome to anyone that is watching the live premiere. Be sure to share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. If you do want to leave any comments down below or questions, do so under the video. And if you're watching on catch up later, I can respond back to those messages afterwards. If you are interested in supporting the channel, down below in the comment section, there'll be a pinned message at the top by me with additional links, for example, a PayPal one. And if you want to catch up on my recent coverage of videos that I've done on this case, full playlist available, top right corner where the I symbol is. So the order of how we'll do things today, I'll play to you that dispatch call. It's mainly just audio. I will cut out the silent parts so it's not as time consuming, and I'll just use a background just to set the scene in a way. And then we'll head on over to what Michael Facecaz has posted and check the screenshots from there.
Go ahead, 24. This county.
En route? Where en route?
En route to north of Terrell.
Yes, ma'am.
County clear at 634. Are you Ryan or Terrell?
Fire department.
Okay, county clear 634.
After listening to that, rather interesting, see it from a different point of view besides the other dispatch call, what we heard when it came to at 5:53 and a bit earlier, 5:43, with Tyler H and Tyler Hardy when reporting in about Noah's body. This is later on, as you'd kind of expect, but in terms of the communication in regard to answering the question wasn't quite there in that dispatch call with the volunteer firefighter department, because the dispatch was asking, are you Ryan or Terrell? And then he just said, fire department. Well, seems to be a bit breakdown in communication. I would say that, in 2023 onwards, nowadays, and I say onwards because of when the case took place, you'd think the audio quality, the radio frequency would be a lot better. It's still a bit piss poor, to be honest with you. But let's just check the brief summary of how Michael Facecast has worded it, captioned, a firefighter saying this is not normal violates protocol. A screenshot of someone who watched one of the roadside videos messaging Robin Smith, Noah's aunt, telling her who was actually on scene at Noah's location first. A confused dispatch on the radio listening as Terrell Volunteer Fire Department report they are headed to Noah's location. What's going on here? Any red flags? And in brackets, Donna Bond later clarified that she did not see Victor Presgrove at the scene. So there's a couple of photos below, one of which is the video audio, but we don't need to look at that. The interesting thing, what I will say is that video audio, which may have been used in the past, is by True Crime Deep Dive, also known as Kay Lee, the one that attacked me extensively in the Dylan Rounds case, as well as supported someone who was like ex-criminal, done for harassment, impersonation of me, and falsely accusing me of a trafficker, defamation, slanderous claims, not a good look. Also, True Crime Deep Dive that falsely made false accusations, and their audience in the early days of this case falsely accusing me of copying their material. But to be honest, that's quite rich coming from True Crime Deep Dive, when whilst that little clip is posted by them, it was actually came from another creator before that. I don't know if they were from Canada or something, but some other female creator that was briefly covering No Presgrove case. So they're in no position to be talking. Yet another prime example of a hypocrite. But I thought I'd just add that in because I like to be consistent when it comes to analysing humans. I do not forget people, regardless of what happens. But let's just take a look at these photo screenshots to particular. I'll try and zoom in just a little bit so I can move it over to the side. This appears to be Facebook Messenger, where you can customize the background and stuff, but does it have to be in a group chat only? I'm not too sure. I do like the visuals though. Donna Bond responding to Robin Smith. Cole Duck. I think Donna is being quirky with language here, meant to say Cole Duke or Duke, however you pronounce it in the US. Okay. We've heard of Cole before, but very brief in a previous video that I did when we were looking at some post of initials and names. It is hard to keep up with everyone, but it will be brought up the name again shortly. Cole Duke doesn't work for Jefferson County. Maybe you were misinformed on who was first on scene in regard to Robin Smith being misinformed first on scene. I can promise you it wasn't Jeremy Wilson. I guess also known as Jeremiah Wilson, the sheriff. But, hey, I get where it's easier to blame someone else than to actually pay attention to what's going on. Renee Millan's cousin was first on scene, then you had Bub Wilcoxon, then Caleb Newton, then law enforcement was called. Is that so? And then law enforcement was called. You mean around 5:53 onwards? Is that so? In that particular order? Because I thought law enforcement, or we just calling it the dispatch call, where you don't directly reach out to the immediate police, you reach out to the dispatch, and the dispatch then gets the law enforcement to come on down. And then you got the OHP as well. Anyway, interesting order of names. But to, how Donna worded it here, to actually pay attention to what's really going on, it's easier to blame somebody else. What does that exactly mean there? Is that a criticism towards Robin? I mean, you could say Robin Smith, heat of the moment at times, could have acted out or was thinking incorrectly when hurt, when raw, fresh emotions were about, as we've seen in other times, like with blasting Avery's location. But down here, Donna says, but video and the pictures, the very second I laid my eyes on them, they were reported and I didn't stop bitching until somebody listened. Well, that's a good thing. That's good to know. Thank you. Caleb and Victor and Bub and Renee were there before law enforcement. But no mention of Victor because that was edited just before, as like Michael said. Caleb Newton, Jack Newton's father, and Bub Wilcoxon and Renee were there before police. Is that so? What time was it when Renee arrived at the area then, at the scene? I know Caden Pressy in his timeline says 6:30 is when Renee arrived at the house, and it must have been 30 minutes spent at the highway, so about 6 in the morning when Renee got to the highway. Would police have been there at that point? But then you got to take in mind your ODOT, when a road closure and police presence onwards would have been 6:30, 6:40 onwards. And I think other people were putting the argument across that it was about 7 or close to 7 when Renee actually got to the house, or the highway, one or the other. And obviously the later on you arrive at, well then the more likely police are going to be present. But how it's worded here, some particular named individuals like Renee there before police. Is that really Sam? Anyway, moving down here, here's Cole M. Duke. They never sent the page. They called the fire chief directly on his phone. Is that a normal thing to do? I never thought to ask you if the page went out. Thanks, bud. Mona, is that protocol in every fire in Terrell? Cole, no. I could not tell you why they didn't page the FD out for that call. Thank you. Do you find it quite odd in this situation? Donovan, me too. Pinky, I can tell you why, because Bub Wilcoxon is part of the cover-up. That's why they had his personal phone number, Wilcoxon. Isn't, if I'm correct in saying, isn't Bub Wilcoxon part of the volunteer firefighter? A volunteer firefighter in any of the names? It's just because, when people have been talking about the police in this case, anyone linked to Jack Newton, anyone linked to any of the other party goers, and if there's a police guy or an officer, they could be looking out for the party goers and use their power to cover up something as a form of corruption, as people were pushing in the past. But, now we seem to be focusing on the volunteer firefighters, or a particular one here or there that could be linked to a party goer by family, friends, looking out for one another. There's a little call made in the background, off call, off duty. Done earlier in advance to prepare anything. All these little questions I'm just throwing out as I'm looking at it raw in the moment. Of course, I'm going to look at the comments, check the comment section, what people have to say, because there'll be others that have looked into this much longer than I have. It's probably first time I'm looking into it properly. Okay, get rid of that. Or maybe not. I forgot, when it comes to Facebook, it's dodgy as hell when you try to zoom in and out. And there we go. Check the comments, do all of them. Yes. Oh, we got Brenda. Victor and Dalen were on the scene before Ellie. I find that hard to believe. Yeah. And Patricia says, no, they said this was a mistake by Donna, as in a mistake that it wasn't Victor on scene, but what about Dalen? Because I believe Dalen would have been there when police were present. Could Donna have been mistaken about the other people as well? So like a knock-on effect. If you get one thing wrong, maybe you got another thing wrong, who knows? And we've got Beth Carter, Michael. Is there a way to scratch Victor's name off of this, just so he and Dalen don't get attacked from the opposing party? Oh, you mean the dark side? As we know, they'll run with this. I see nothing but these two names. Sounds like CN, Caleb Newton, BW, Bub Wilcoxon, RM, Renee Millan have some explaining to do. Caden Pressy's timeline would have to be correct. And since all of the opposing party and the family members have all worked their timelines around Jack Newton's timeline, which is obviously wrong, none of them called 911 as they were at the crime scene before the Tyler H and Tyler Hardy. According to this, allegedly, they're all guilty and all need to go to jail in my opinion. Now let's geofence all their phones and leave Caden Pressey and Alicia be, in my opinion. And Shelley says, yes, I so agree. Lock them all up. Who then? Dina. So she lists all these people and everyone is focused on Dalen and Victor. What about everyone else? Were they there? I've noticed the opposing party is always looking for an scapegoat. And an scapegoat. But then haven't you had Alicia or Caden Pressey with delayed tactics when it comes to trying to reveal stuff or drip feeding things, teasing, while still saying, well, we don't owe you anything, but by the way, we'll tease you with this and that. Nicole, personally, I wouldn't trust anything Donna Bond says. She's the one that was posting crazy shit last summer that she had inside information and arrest were imminent. Really, that was enough for me. But when she totally flipped, it was the icing on the cake. I don't know how old she is or whether she struggles with dementia, but she's definitely not what I would consider a good source at all. So, of course, when looking at these comments, you get to see it from viewpoints which you may not see because you might not be a part of this page. So we just acknowledge it all. Michael Facecast, I agree, but even a broken clock is right twice a day. So is Michael Facecast agreeing that Donna might have dementia or something? Tim Daniels responds, Donna does not struggle with that. What an awful thing to suggest. Just because some of us changed our views from the beginning based on updated information doesn't mean we are suffering from dementia. Perhaps the people who suffer from cognitive difficulties are the ones who presented with updated information yet choose to ignore it in favour of more colourful theories of cover-ups and corruption. It doesn't look like people are too pleased with that because when we look at the reactions by people, Nicole is very angry. Grrr. Okay, I'm going to roar like a lion. Michael responds, she didn't just change her views, she changed her entire perception of reality to fit this new narrative. She said she saw video and photos of certain people at the scene. How is that changing your opinion? I mean, when it comes to Donna Bond and the description in the past, all I could remember was the description of you had Noah, naked body and no shoes on whatsoever. And that was pretty much it from what I remember. As for the names of the people that were there, it was the first time me seeing it now, to be honest. What Michael Facecast is suggesting here, or maybe Justin Roy as well, is that when it came to Donna Bond in the past, was thinking a certain way, the outcome, cause of death and whatnot, may have been on the receiving end of the dark side. Fast forward onwards, ever since Donna getting on well with Brooke Bounce Carter and some other people on the dark side. So people see that as, oh, if you've changed sides, you're changing up, what's going on? You've been paid off, you're not following up on this anymore, you're not following up on that, as that protective order or some order by Carter Came has been dropped now, as things been swept over, brushed under the rug. What's going on? That's roughly what people are getting at here, I guess. Tim Daniel, she is here now, so I probably should not be speaking for her. I just feel like I can relate a little bit. It's different for me as I never saw a video or photos of the scene, but I did have my entire worldview of this case flipped. I had also followed what Don and Justin originally shared, and that shaped my views of this being foul play. So what people flipped, I never expected Donna to when it was dug in more than I was, but we are. A lot of people are rethinking things after so long with no arrest made. You will get exceptions though in other cases where no arrests are made, but it's that obvious and clear that there could be a foul play or it's a murder. The Dylan Rounds case was a perfect example. Staring people in the eyes and the face. The police, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office allowed the murderer to walk on scene into the key area where police were, to pack things up and then to chuck them away, key possible evidence. And it was just allowed. So, because I've seen very questionable stuff in the past, it could always happen again in a different case. Andrea, that's interesting, is that no one who flips has flipped back. Once you see the truth, you don't go back. I think there's another line as well elsewhere. Tim Daniel, it's interesting to see people make the same arguments I used to make. I do appreciate that I have the perspective, I understand the arguments. I just was never able to back anything up with any hard proof. It all came down to Kane and Alicia's word, which I no longer trust. And you know what? It's just unfortunate because when there's inconsistencies, when there's discrepancies, you can't just take someone's word for it anymore. You need more. You need more evidence, more material. And in terms of material and evidence, even if it is somewhat limited, I've received more hard evidence from the dark side than I have from the light side. From the light side, it's mainly been just all words, some promises, and don't be posting it public. And then from the dark side, it's been, here's some hard evidence, here's a key screenshot, here's a timestamp, here's this, here's that, and anything else in the future possible when the time's right. Yes, this can be shared, this can be done, that can be posted. Just maybe blur that out a little bit. Just put a little box there, but you can post it. One side is more lenient than the other side. One side has more material than the other. I find that interesting. We've got Denise Rogers-Arnold. However, Ellie does believe that she is a good source of information, and that's really all that counts. Wouldn't you agree? I think that there's big issues that so many people are trusting and believing in them. It's only their word, which is really not even holding water anymore. There's absolutely nothing that they can show or prove what they're saying is factual. Oh, Nicole, why do you people always have to jump on someone? I was being nice. What I wanted to say was that she presents as a nosy, crazy old lady and has for well over a year. Asking if someone has dementia is not rude, it's real. I just cared for my dad for 18 months. And things didn't always make sense, much like Donna. I was privileged to be able to care for him. Experienced in dementia, Alzheimer's. I have empathy for that. You need to chill, work on being better humans in general. Nasty. So, okay, it's like normal behavioural, just self-diagnose people left, right and centre. Oh, what's that? Warlike bingo hall ref labelled as anything and everything in this world. Great. Okay. Tim, Michael, I just spoke with Donna. She would love to know why didn't you share the whole conversation of hers? Oh, no, Tim. Are you saying that screenshot with Donna and Robin, it's lacking context? Just in lacking context? Oh, no, it's been clipped again. Oh, no. You hear that, Joyce Bergow? You hear that, Rebecca? Things are being clipped left, right and centre. Goodness gracious. Anyway, in all seriousness, Tim says, she was mistaken and it was not Victor. It was this other person. And of course, we all know from Victor's own words as well as Dalen's own words that they got there way after LE, approximately 7:30. Donna also says that the cousin she was talking about was not Cole Duke, it was Brandon Sane, or Sane. If anyone has access still to that group chat, they can pull they can pull up the entire conversation. Cash Allsup and Brandon Sane arrived on scene at 6:15 in the morning. 6:15 or to 6:18 in between that time is when Jimmy Williams, the undersheriff, arrived as well. Caleb was called by Jack as per the screenshots of that at 6:05. And Caleb picked up his father, Bub Wilcoxon, I'm guessing. Is it Bub Wilcoxon? No, it's not Bub Wilcoxon. Fuck that. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. It's another person. Jack's granddad shortly after and arrived at the scene after the police arrived. Undersheriff arrived at 6:18, if I remember. Yeah, it says 6:15 to 6:18. Yeah. Jimmy Williams. Okay, we've got some long response there. We might as well acknowledge him. It is a phase, a time. Not a phase as in phase Kaz, but just like a period where we take a look at other viewpoints besides mine. If Donna changed her story later, that would align with her MO. I don't have her recent screenshots if she did this. The question is, was she lying then or is she lying now? It was not later. She corrected herself in this very conversation you posted. She just told me not Victor. I'm trying to figure out who it was that she had mistaken Victor for. She doesn't remember, but definitely not Victor. See, when I did a video previously, it was to do with some comments or so, and it added on with Donna Bond referring to how Robin Smith paid her home a visit, and they were talking and sharing stuff, and it might have been to do with the highway situation. And then Robin said, I've never been to your house. And then in a live chat later, Donna said, oh yeah, I got that mixed up. Robin didn't come to my house. It was at another place, another house with other people or something. Yeah, a little bit random, but yeah, things have been corrected with time. But yes, Donna has found that information they talked about privately earlier that was thought to be good sources later turned out not to be true. And as such, changed her views on everything based on better information, as all of us should do when given updates. Do you know what Victor drove to the scene? I can add a clarification to post. First few seconds, Dalen says he picked his dad up, and now I'm not sure what kind of car Dalen drives. Oh, News Nation. Well, we've seen that one before. Exactly, that's probably what she thought at the time. Things change, information evolves, things you thought at the beginning you might find out are completely wrong. It's very normal. And I think, you know what doesn't help at times is when you get some people that repost old stuff without context of date, time or year. So when people see it for the very first time, they think, oh, is this recent? Well, if it's recent, then why they're suddenly turning it up compared to what they've previously said? What the hell's going on there? Then it adds to the confusion. It adds more unnecessary layers and depth to what's already going on. And then eventually people find out, oh, it's an old post in the past when it was more relevant with what people thought of, what people believed, what was supposedly true, the case, and then end up being wiped away, debunked, cleared up. And as things are cleared up or new evidence comes out and new leads, obviously it's going to take you onto a journey elsewhere. It happens with all cases and mysteries. If you try looking back retrospectively at an old article, you could be complaining about it. Look, the Kenny Veach case, with their research done, the different news media outlets, you go back to a 2014 or a 2015 article, it'd probably be lacking in context and dates, times and whatnot. And other research done. Yeah, you can complain about it, but it was relevant at the time. However, nowadays you get 2023, 2024 articles and onwards, many media outlets documenting, doing coverage on the Kenny Veach case disappearance, and they still are using outdated information. They don't bother using my research. They don't bother using other hikers' research or videos. It just keeps getting forgotten about. It's pathetic. And what doesn't help is the human race, the majority, don't bother researching either. There's a fucking lost cause there, but not so much here. And that's a positive. What else do we have? Yeah, she has said many times that she's very, very sorry for some of the things she said when she had bad information that she thought was very reliable. It happens, and we should really all stay flexible on learning new information. I really mean that if Caden comes back with information that places all the guys at the roadside before 911 calls, I'll be first to reflect that new information in my theories and post. But to date, there is not a shred of proof to show anyone out there before the 911 calls. Why try and make Donna out to be a liar? She was just passionate for justice and was working off the information she had at the time, which is now outdated. She didn't post most of this stuff to the pages. She kept it to private chats and sent everything to LE. Now that is very important, because you can talk as much shit as possible elsewhere, or you could make mistakes, or other people could deceive you and give you false information. But if it stays in private, it doesn't publicly harm the case or the learning or understanding. But if it is leaked, or if it is reposted publicly and made out to be something great, which it's not, or made out to be something bad and dark when it's not really, then that's what causes mass issues. I mean, yeah, people can be lenient now with what's happened, but in the past, at least, when it came to like the likes of Dina Rose and some other Covents, they were publicly posting this and that and really raising the bar and expectations, which never actually happened. It caused outrage, it caused trouble, it caused confusion, and so much more. But if there's an example here where it's in private chats, as long as it stays in private chats, it shouldn't be a major problem, right? And then if it can be cleared with time, then it can be. stays in the shadows, belongs in the shadows, and then if it's truly true, and then if it can be posted public, that'd be important. Besides that, sending everything to Ellie, separated what she thought was hearsay and what she thought was fact, and some of those things were never intended to be public until proven one way or the other. Okay. But according to Donna, Justin Roy jumped the gun. Oh no. On that. And Justin Roy shared hearsay and rumours as if they were facts. I have known Donna to be wrong on a few things from early on, like theories about other kids being involved, but I never felt she was intentionally trying to be deceptive. She was one of the first people to reach out to law enforcement the very next day to try and be as much help as possible. And I believe she is still regularly in touch with Ellie. They would know if she was lying or not, and I imagine they would stop taking her calls if they thought she was being disingenuous. Not everyone is out here trying to manipulate and mislead. Just because Donna has realised there is no evidence to say Stevie's children or Jack or Justin's nephews or other friends involved, she has done the right thing and stopped accusing Noah's friends of heinous crimes with no evidence. She has apologised to people. I think that is big. But why is she not in this group? I don't want to keep having to speak for her. She can do that herself. Is Donna in the case discussion group anymore? Or brought back Tammy to Tim? Okay, just wondering, because back when I first found out about what happened to Noah, I was reading comments in a post that George Choden made in the Justice page, but in the comments, Robin Smith and the girls' moms were going back and forth, and others too on each side, but one comment caught my eye and I still think about it today. One lady started talking about how her and one of the girls' moms had both lost a child, but then she started talking about Victor and said, I know that was your Newton work truck there that morning. I'm guessing it was before daylight, but that comment has stuck with me. Don't know if that was true or not. Okay. Right. These timelines. His son went to pick him up. I don't know if he was at the same vehicle now as he did then, but I'm just curious as to why you're wondering about that. From a comment that I seen about a year or so ago that stuck with me. Someone said that they knew Victor Newton. Victor Newton, who's that? Work truck was there at the highway that morning. I just always wondered if it was true or not. There we go. We do have Donna Bond. I'd like to know where you're getting your facts from. Any conversation with me is chaotic on my best days. When only bits and pieces are shared, things can be so easily misconstrued. Just because people are sitting around having a conversation doesn't mean the things that they're talking about are facts. Just talking about things we've all heard. Who left private home with information? So do we believe you now or when you wrote this? Donna says, first of all, it was my voice to text app. No matter how it's been twisted or misconstrued, and let's be honest, here at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what you think or what you believe, as long as law enforcement has what they need. And let's be clear, one video, I don't know what Kathy has or doesn't have. I don't know what they've seen or didn't see. I'm only speaking for me. So here's the thing, no matter what, everything will come out when it hits the courthouse. Nothing about any of this is good. Been some pretty wild allegations made. Sure hope the ones making them have what they need to back them up. And then Michael says, lol, you're the one making these. Do you realise that? Ooh. And Donna says, I made the allegations of people being paid off. I made the allegations of law enforcement being corrupt. I made the allegations of seeing the same video with the question marks. Kathy showed and withholding information to save law enforcement. I made those allegations. Michael Facecast, I never heard you make those ones, but if you are now, I'm talking about the screenshot here that you joined the group to comment on. Me, I know I made that statement, and yelling into my phone, a little disorganized, misconstrued. Here's the thing, people that really know me knew exactly what I was saying when I made that comment. Denise, it's okay, it's interesting, I believe he took his work truck with him. I could be mistaken, but I think only the Newtons took their work vehicles. Well, that appears to be it there. Take in mind, there might be some additional responses, but I'm recording this video earlier in the day, so we're not going to see everything. but a follow-up can be done if it's that important, Lily. We know what video she's talking about, the 2-second live photo. So according to Donna, the police have the photos and video. That's great news. We know the firefighter or other emergency services arrive before police to something like this. They will take photos, especially those like volunteer firefighters. They have to keep themselves accountable. It would be worse if there wasn't pictures from the scene as they found it. Wait, we know what video Donna is talking about, the 2-second live photo. Do we really know what Donna's talking about? Because what Lily interprets here, so I'm interpreting something completely different. What the hell? Maybe it's just my memory being, locking on with what's been said previously. Well, I always bring it back up at the end of this video with Siobhan. I think Donna should be in this group since her name is in the screenshot. I see you post old comments from her, but don't stand behind the comments you made after speaking to OHP. Michael, I stand behind them, not what you write about. Why don't you ask Robin Smith if Donna was being serious or just shooting sheep? So I can replace your comments. You said they told you not investigating as a murder. Correct. You're going to answer if I can post the screenshots of your statement about your conversation with OHP and ask what other people think. No response from Michael at this moment. Are you still here? I'm trying to catch up. Okay. Dusty Victor was there before Lauren Caleb. What the hell? And then we'll just see the clear up here. And we got Laura Dutton as well. Was it rumoured that Victor Presgrove was drinking with Caleb Newton earlier Sunday night? If so, when did they quit drinking? Where were they drinking? Cannot say what I'm thinking. Well, if they were drinking or so, I mean, is it just a rumour? Because, to be honest, the whole Victor drinking with Caleb, that was being pushed to push the agenda of alcohol as well, to push the rumour turned into a false fact by people in the community on the Army page and maybe on the case discussion page that Noah tried calling Victor Presgrove, and Victor Presgrove either refused to pick Noah up or just didn't answer the phone because he was too busy drinking with Caleb. So then the blame game came out from that and it all exploded. And then in the end, fast forward onwards to, was it 2025, a few months ago, when Victor Presgrove responded to either Tim Daniel or somebody else and said, reality is, Noah did not call me for a ride home. Noah didn't want a ride home, wasn't that desperate for that. So there's that. Tim, no. This is exactly how rumours get started. This was a private conversation from very early on, and Donna corrected that it was not Victor. Victor's own words and Dalen's were they arrived at 7:30 in the morning. Right. And that's what you heard in Dalen's interview. Well, then we should stick with that then and not what strangers say. Rumour, no, it's incorrect. Caleb did not get there till around 6:30. I don't recall what time Victor got there. I think it was, well, it says up there, doesn't it? 7:30. And then Donna Bond, they don't get that. I was yelling into my phone when I made the comments. I was hot over the accusations being made towards law enforcement. Everyone knows how my mouth is when I'm upset. I know I still have the screenshots and all this paperwork. Victor and Dylan, oh, you mean Dalen, showed up. I want to say shortly after law enforcement. See, this is the thing. When it comes to text to speech, depending how you talk, and even myself, maybe because of my accent or how I pronounce certain words, text to speech isn't always accurate. It can misspell things, pick up other words which you didn't actually mean. It can cause a lot of lack of context. That's why it's better just typing it up. That's what I try and do. Patria, I'm misunderstanding. If all the people listed in Donna's messages to Robin were there before law enforcement was called, that means Jack, Caden and all in Caden's vehicle were there before Ellie was called. We all know it was the truck drivers that called Ellie, so all these people were there before Ellie. Is that reinforcing Caden's timeline or what? Response-wise, Andrea, well, either way, it's not true because Dalen drove with Victor to the scene. Probably just, okay. Or she just forgot to mention Dalen. Dalen Victor, yeah. So now, are you saying his father and brother have information about cover-up? Oh, no. That's all. Why did I say that? Why would his brother and father be there before the 911 calls? Where did I say they were? Donna said several were there. Apparently, she clarified later Victor was not there. What's this? Fred, this is just a screenshot that was shared in a large group chat with about 15 people in it. I believe Joyce Bergow started it. Oh no. Oh no, Joyce Bergow. Michael Facecas, mentioning your name. I have a couple thousand screenshots. Oh no. Wait, Michael Facecas has a couple thousand screenshots. What's this? It's like a competition who's got the most screenshots. Was it Justin Roy or something that said, oh yeah, Donna Bond, or not Donna Bond, Joyce Bergow, and anyone else in between has got like over 500 screenshots, 300 screenshots here and there. Raf's receiving them all, supposedly. And now Michael, the highest bidder, with 1,000 screenshots. Does that compensate for the 300,000 emails? I don't know. There's a lot of numbers going on, and they don't seem to lie either. Anyway, the screenshots, miscellaneous people that were sent to me, I was just going through some of them and thought, wow, this is crazy. I don't know how I didn't see this before, as I save all them as large sets and never took the time to go through them. There's a gold mine screenshot, so let me tell you, is that Sam? I can't wait for you to share them all, so it wakes other people up. Shannon Sullivan, Caleb Newton called Victor and told him according to him. Denise, most of the time when you call 911, they in turn are the ones that call LE. Unless I'm just misunderstanding your comment. Nobody was before the truckers. These are very old screenshots. Realise, okay, Pine Donna has since corrected the information. Oh, and here's Becca. I think supposedly Becca Ann has been removed from this page, but a comment is still up on screen, so we'll read it. Becca says to Michael, you really don't even have a clue, do you? You think Joyce Bergow started the chat thread? Wow, not very bright, are you, Mikey? It's a group chat that was formed shortly after Noah passed away. I know exactly who was in the group. I also have the entire chat. Joyce and myself were added to that group and know that there was a lot of information that was discussed, and some turned out to be true, some was false. So you decided to post a CPL screenshot out of literal thousands and you have zero clue what you're talking about. It's embarrassing to watch you fumble around to try and come up with damning screenshots. You do realise that you don't actually have a clue about what's going on. Let's summarise. Group chat was started shortly after Noah passed. Donna was one of the people that formed the group. Joyce had nothing to do with starting that group, genius. Joyce and myself were added to the group chat a few months back and currently have access to several chats in entirety. I do have the entire thread of multiple group private chats. You just don't have a clue what's going on, felon, do you? Funniest part of this is that you have it completely wrong. You continue to lie and post complete BS. Do you think that your nonsense is helping with Noah's case? It's a damn shame that you and your buddies keep putting false info and straight out lie. But then again, that's what felons do. Mikey, do better. Donna Bond to Michael. Once again, misinformation. Those screenshots came out of the private group created by myself. Another lady, Joyce, was never in these groups. There was the Justice for Noah group, and then the Smurf group was created. Joyce had nothing to do with either of those groups being created. Why are there so many bloody groups? Oops, kicking me off there. And Brenda, where's the screenshot of the firefighter saying this is not normal? I think it's... what's that? They went to the page, they called a fire... I could tell you they didn't. They never sent the page. They called the fire chief directly on his phone. No, I could not tell you why they didn't page the FD out for that call. And that was to Mona. Mona saying, is that protocol in every fire? And he says no. So Duke didn't say it was not normal, but agreed to someone who was saying, is it normal? And he said no. No as in not normal. Michael Facecard has just added a few words on, basically. That doesn't say this is not normal or that it violates protocol. Yeah, of course, Duke didn't say anything about violating protocol. As you say, it does. It says, no, I could not tell you why they didn't page the FD out for the call, in case you can't read. But it is important, though. Duke does respond back with no, answering the original question, and then there is a comma, and then continues on with adding more. This is the problem with this case. People twisting everything to fit their narrative. Cole Duke probably wouldn't appreciate you putting words into his mouth. Well, actually, let me interpret it in just a second. Cole didn't say it wasn't normal. He said no in response to the question he was asked. He states calling the fire chief is not protocol, so I think it's not normal for them to call the chief rather than Page. Twisting his words to say what you want them to say is wrong. He said what he said. He said that was not protocol. Did he say it never happens? No. Did he say... Basically, it's open to interpretation. If it's somewhat vague, the response... Perhaps if Donna Bond called you, it was on the page, I could personally defend the statements as well. Well, Donna appears to be. Double check that once again. Mona, is that protocol, that method of communication, that method of action, is it protocol in every situation? And Cole says, no, it doesn't always happen. It's not always protocol. Because it's not always that way, it could be considered not exactly normal, but it could also be considered not the regular norm, but it's not abnormal, if that makes sense. It is down to interpretation. Some people can put words in other people's mouths in a forced way to suit an agenda, and other people just simply misinterpret it. It does originally come down to how a person answers the question in the first place, and like when it comes to me, whilst the responses, explanations might be drawn out and long, I try and make it as clear as possible with all the different viewpoints. If it's too vague, it can be taken out of context, but let's be realistic. There's been times where I've been very clear, very specific, and some people have still managed to fail in understanding me, which is disappointing. So after looking into all that, it seemed to be a lot of noise and not too much coming out of it. And what has been talked about in terms of a video may not be or may link to Kathy Bingham's situation. Kathy Bingham doesn't have a video, but Donna Bond has seen a video from elsewhere. Kind of interesting, stands out. As long as it's been handed over to the right people at the appropriate time, that's what matters most. But in terms of the odd person who was interpreting what Donna Bond was getting at in regard to the contents of the video. Oh, it's that 10-second live photo, not a video, but live photo. Well, then how can that link to what Donna's getting at? Donna's talking about a video. A live photo is not a video, quite the sort. Separate things. In terms of the description, I don't really see anyone talking about it. I'm sure I remember Donna Bond saying, piece of video footage, nowhere on the highway, naked, no shoes. I'd interpret that as maybe, even though no timestamp has been given, much later on, when maybe police or authorities have taken bits of evidence away to be processed. So that's why Noah's been left out, exposed. But then again, what time was it when a sheeting or covering was put over Noah's body out of respect? Would it have been put over and then a video taken afterwards with the sheet removed, or before the sheet was added, but the items of interest were taken away? Interesting. And what would be the aim or motive behind that piece of video footage? Why would someone record it? What do you gain from it? Was it done out of documenting evidence, the scene, how it looked and how it appeared? Was there any other reasons behind it? That's what I would like to know. In regards to, the post by Michael Faye's Kaz, that might have been taken out of context. In other words, may have been added on, like with what Duke says compared to how Michael words it or interprets it. One sounds worse than the other. I do understand that. So when Michael says, oh yeah, what Duke basically says is it's not normal and it's kind of against protocol, well then it really stands out and pops as if, oh, it must be a little bit corrupt. It must be a little bit dodgy. Why would they be trying to make it appear as something else? Like really trying hard. So it does make you, depends how you look at it first. Similar patterns in the past maybe, which then cause possible confusion. I know there's been, several occasions where Justin Roy has changed the words or interpreted it too incorrectly or really jumped the gun. And then I've been sat back thinking, oh no. Gotta be careful with the wording and language, because even if you don't get punished, it's just not cringe and embarrassing, but just a cringe factor where you think, ooh, probably it's a bit too rash that the way something was read out or looked into. I mean, probably would have happened to me at some point as well, but try not to do it as much now. But besides that, you can let me know your thoughts of that, firefighter department, like little call dispatch made. It'd be nice if there was like a bit more official material or documentation, but then again, it'll probably come out more so later in the future. It goes to court if that's the case too, and there's a reason and enough progress is made. In the meantime, well, as you can say, cracks are forming. Some people maybe running away or keeping quiet. Depends how you look at it. Still certain areas and topics to cover. It does feel like, in some ways, you could argue things are a bit thin or running a little bit thin, a little bit quieter than usual. But it depends what themes and topics people are focused on. I mean, how often do you hear people talking about the golf clubs now? Not so much. See, this is what I would say. Even if the golf clubs have no part in Noah's death, supposedly Dalen never got them back. How hard is it to get some bloody golf clubs and a bag back? Why would it be so difficult? Why were they not given back to him? Besides Noah's items being seen as mementos and handed out to different friends or family members, golf clubs, a bag belonging to someone who's still alive, Dalen, why did he not get them back? Why did Caden mention it about, they were supposedly behind the back of, Jack's scrap pile, scrap yard? And then when Dalen paid Caden a visit and started talking and realisation kicked in, your golf clubs. And then going back out there at a later point and then finding out that they're no longer there. What the hell's all that about? You could say it's a rumour. Well, then what else is? What's Dalen Presgrove's point of view towards Caden then in regards to communication and what's been said? Like, there will be some areas in the case where it might not be linked to the death, but it could still be a mystery. And if it's something simple, it should be cleared up. But that isn't always the case. Then it does add a bit of questioning, as in, well, if it's not that important and it should be simple, but it's not, and people are making it more difficult, what's the point behind that then? Maybe some people's excuse could be, well, it's just not that important, so we don't really need to go into it. We don't need to talk about it too much. I think at the end of the day, it should still be like acknowledged in some way at least. But, that doesn't seem to happen. But besides all that, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. You want to hit the share button, the like button down below. That'd be appreciated. And speaking of which, slightly off subject, I know someone, was it Skippy, saying about, what's that monster in the background? You calling certain someone a monster? Naughty, naughty, naughty. But you said about, are they moving or what? What's really going on in the deal? Well, if we take a look back there, you can see them. Are they moving? Are they moving? Just a little bit. Probably because they're still asleep. Hello? Is anyone still there? Are you going to move? Yeah? Sliding off, trying to hide under the sheets. What are you doing back there? I don't know. Do we have anything else going on? Well, I know some people have been talking about, I don't know if anyone knows, like when it comes to like tickets being sold out, record-breaking numbers. Supposedly, the Magic Mike 4D experience has sold out in a matter of seconds last night. As for special guest appearances in the Magic Mike show, who knows what could happen. Let's just hope that there's enough context. Or, there's going to be some misinformation about, oh my God, you got my muscles too small. Those measurements are incorrect. How dare you? You're going to be altering the timestamps of when nipples show up in sight or not. Well, I guess this person's not too interested in the Magic Mike experience because they keep slipping away. Come on, what are you doing? Oh, completely outshot. Oh well. I tried, didn't I? But besides that, am I going to be making an appearance in Magic Mike? Do I look like a prostitute? I don't think so. I'm an innocent individual. I'll be doing nothing like that. Isn't that correct, Sharon? See, Sharon is a good witness and, they can speak to some extent on behalf of me in regard to my innocence, in regard to me not attending the Magic Mike show. But could there be a magic ref show? Who knows? Anything is possible. I'll be doing some magic tricks of my own, quite possibly. I'm going to be doing a little disappearance act. What will be going missing, I wonder? Was that Sharon? A piece of clothing disappearing out of nowhere? How did I manage that? I wonder. And what's that, Joyce Bergam? Yeah? Oh, that cornhole competition? I can fill those holes with my sacks and I don't even have to touch them. Yeah? MVP. Exactly. But besides sacks, regardless of how full they are, Sharon, those sacks are rather empty, are they not? But it depends how many beans you fill them with. If there's a hole, it's going to leak. And if you've got a saggy sack, it's not going to go that far. My God, Joyce Bergow, you got to fix it right now. Patch it up. And guess what? Besides Magic Ref, you have Dr. Ref as well. On call. But I've gone more private now, so, you know, can't be reached as easily. But we did hear about Becca Gagliari in terms of, what, needing healing. And I'll tell you something, it might as well be done right here, right now. Because the way it's gone today, with what we've listened to, the darkness and some pettiness and complaints we've seen, what's it ultimately led to? What good has really come out of it? It's about documenting it all along the way, of course. I mean, we've had the dispatch call, listen to that on my channel for the first time. That's something different, I guess. But something good needs to come out of this, something meaningful, and that can involve healing. So, I'll just stand up right now, of course. Just adjust the tripod a little bit, okay? Spread those legs, not yours, Becca's. Keep them closed. I'm just adjusting the tripod. There we go. So, what exact tool are we... See, the thing is, Becca said, oh, I want them all, I need them all the tools. I will use what I think is necessary, Becca. I am the doctor, remember? I always know best. So, it's a little bit twanged. There we go. It appears we've got this one, the material. Where's the end of it? It appears to be tied up a little. Don't worry, it won't take long. And this is only going to take a few little taps because it covers a wide area. Okay. So we're just going to spread the zips just a little bit. Okay. Come on, Becca. Yeah? Yeah? Come on, Becca. No more treadmills at this moment in time. There we go. And last but not least, one final thing, the XL. The Holy Whip. 3:16, thou shalt not whip unless necessary. And I think this is a perfect time and moment for every member upon this channel watching in the live premiere. Go to the custom emoji section of mine, select the black belt of me holding it in the red robe and spam it in chat right now. Forget those, you know, like prayers and messages and all that. It's all about the whip, channeling through the screen. Post those custom emojis right now of the whip of wrath to heal Rebecca and her back. Okay? I don't know if it's too late, but broke back matrix, it's never too late, Becca. There's always time. Okay? Here we go. Thou shalt not whip unless necessary. The healing upon the back. From all angles possible, Becca. Yeah! Come on, Becca, man. You can handle this. Light work. And last but not least, the cowboy version. Hammering home the truth. Pounding the healing into the back. There we go. So, It may take a little bit of time. There might be a little delay. You might feel a little bit sore in the morning, but it's all part of the process. With that all being said, hopefully you found the video somewhat good, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.